good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and welcome to the Salonpreneur magazine, the podcast. This is the autumn edition episode with Phil Jackson,
Hello.
salons, and yeah, queen of memberships, queens of lots of things.
Yep.
And this month, this quarter, we have our wonderful Salonpreneur magazine, and Phil can be found on page 75, talking all about the front desk and is it dead?
Yeah. Well,
So
hello, first of all.
hello.
And yeah, good to be back. Can't believe we're storming towards the end of the year.
I
And
know.
it's issue number 2. Super
Issue
proud of
number
it. You've got
two,
to be
eight
proud of
weeks from
it.
Christmas.
Yeah, looking really good, this issue, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to I mean, really the article's not just about front desk, but I get a bit frustrated. You know, I love salons and I love our industry,
Yes.
but I do get a bit frustrated when we're doing business the way that we've always done it, just
Yeah.
because we've always done it that way. And
Yeah.
I've never wanted that. I've always felt that there shouldn't be anything in your business that we can't tear apart and put back together in a better way, and everything should be open for scrutiny. And I think, particularly at the moment, when profit margins are so tight, we
Mhm.
should be looking at areas where we could potentially save a bit of cash. And I think the
Absolutely.
front desk is a prime bit of real estate that we could
And
maybe
also,
reinvent.
uh, and also, just as like an aside, it's a really expensive part of the furniture of the salon. To
It's
replace a reception desk can cost thousands. Um,
I think it very definitely puts us in a certain light as well. It just reminds me of oh, I'm going to show me age now. It
oh
always
no.
reminds me when
Come
I
on,
see
you
a
sprightly
reception desk in
person.
a salon. It always reminds me of Arkwright in Open All Hours
Yeah.
behind the counter. Do you know what I mean? And I just think there's
Yeah.
a more modern way of doing business now, and I love stealing ideas from other industries. Everything that I've brought into our industry that's been amazing has always come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the most innovative places to shop and buy, like going to an Apple store, they don't have a checkout.
No.
So what they've got instead is that much more open, much more welcoming environment, and then you've got team members that move around the space and meet you where you are, rather than this
That's,
kind of counter between you
yeah.
and your customers. So
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity there for a bit more of a modern way of doing business.
Yeah. And it's like removing the barrier as well, isn't it? I mean, even our GPs. I mean, I can remember as a kid, you'd go to the doctors and he'd sit behind a desk and talk
Hmm.
across the desk at you.
Yeah.
And now it's always very much side on. No matter
Hmm.
what doctor you go and see, they're always desk against the wall, and you're at the end of that desk, and it's always like face to face, side on.
Yeah.
And removing that barrier, because those barriers, even though people kind of expect to have that barrier in a salon, because like you say, it's been there always,
Mm.
and why would anyone expect to walk in and not have that? It just sort of, but it opens up the fluidity of the space. It allows, that space that the reception desk takes up could be filled with retail.
Could be a retail, could be a nail desk, could
Yeah,
be, another
absolutely.
salon chair, it could be a demo area, it could be
Yeah,
your consultation suite. It could
yeah,
be put to so many different uses. Or maybe you need a smaller premises because we haven't got to worry about a reception
yeah,
desk.
yeah. This
Um,
is it, isn't it? I think it's, once you remove that from the equation, and I think, things, I mean, they've been around for a really long time now, obviously, but like tablets, whether it's, an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy tablet,
mhm.
whatever you've got, we all, in most salons now, everyone's got online booking.
Oh, for sure. And actually,
And
what you've
we
done, what
don't
you've
need
hit
it.
there is a really important point, because it's actually, what is the reception desk for?
Mm,
And historically, it was where the till lived.
yeah,
And it's where all your record cards were stuffed, and
yeah,
then 47 other bits of junk that you hid under the desk as
yeah.
well.
Elastic
And it was
bands.
a kind of magnet for your lazy team members who wanted to look busy without doing any work.
Yeah,
Um,
indeed.
but if we start stripping those things away, most of us don't have paper records anymore, so we haven't got to store those. Most of us don't, so many places now don't take cash, so we don't need a cash drawer.
No.
And if we take that desk away and think about delivering those parts of the service elsewhere, so you can take the bill in the beauty room, or you can take the bill at the hairdressing chair, you can
Yeah,
be rebooking your customers actually when it's most effective, which is when it's part of the consultation. We're not leaving it to the end and handing them over. and that passing people over, I think, is a real it's a downfall in a lot of salons, and it lets a lot of stylists and therapists off.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And it is, you lose that continuity, don't you? And you've just built up all that rapport, especially if it's a new client. You've just built all that rapport up over your treatment time,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh, bye, see you later. Off you go and meet someone else and try and be nice to them, or they can try and be nice to you. And it's sort of, and that the client is like an offloading of them. And it's like, well, you're no longer my responsibility. Off you go. Someone else is going to deal with you.
Absolutely. And so it's someone else's problem to rebook. It's someone else's problem to do the close on the retail. So it doesn't let your team members off the hook if they're not passing them over to anybody else.
No.
And I think that continuity of service is really important. And it gives us the chance as well to really play with what service looks like. So instead of waiting to the end to say, oh, and I need to see you again in 4 weeks, we can bring that into the consultation at the beginning and be rebooking before we've even started that
Yeah.
first appointment.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a course, it's like, well, let's get those booked in now, shall we, before we've even started that first treatment for you. So it gives us a real chance to, and I think also, if you think about it logically, the most painful bit of any appointment is when you're handing over cash or giving your card over.
Yeah, it's that awkward bit.
It's that awkward bit where you're kind of, okay, that'll be 100 quid today. Oh, and by the way, do you want to give me 100 quid again in 4 weeks' time?
Yeah.
Probably not. But if we can kind of get the rebooking while they're relaxed and enjoying themselves and enjoying the service, then we've probably got a better chance at keeping rebookings higher, getting people in sooner, because we're asking them to do more of what they're actually enjoying rather than the painful bit.
Absolutely. And I think as well is that quite often, and I know I can be very guilty of this, is that you'll say something during treatment or at the beginning of the treatment, okay, we're going to do all this for you today. And at the end, I'm going to give you this, or I'm going to rebook you that treatment. And so often, by the time you get, if you're doing like a big facial service or a big hair service, you're going to be like, an hour and a half. And with hair, I mean, it could be even like 3 or 4 or 5 hours, couldn't it? Depending on what they're having done. And you've got to hold all that information of what you've been talking about at the beginning and what that process is going to look like long-term for the client. By the time you get to the end of the appointment, some of that smaller detail may get missed.
Yeah.
So you've got upsell opportunities may disappear. Maybe we should look at selling retail at the beginning.
Oh, definitely. My husband's brilliant at it. So if you go to him for a hair appointment, I will concede this is a bit easier in hair, but it will translate to beauty as well. I've seen it done, but he will say, yeah, we can create that look for you if that's what you want today. But to maintain that look, you're going to need these products. Is that okay with you, or do we need to look for something that's easier to maintain? So they're kind of committing to the retail before he's even had the hair washed. Which is
we used to do this a bit in nails when we used to use polish and we had like all the, like in the salon I first worked in, we had like beautiful rack full of polish, massive spinny rack, and it'd be like, select your polish, pay for your polish, bring it to the table, and then you take it home with you. But we don't have that opportunity. Like in nails, we really don't have that opportunity anymore, because you obviously can't send them home with a bottle of gel and a lamp. It doesn't work the same. But there's, that was a really gifted opportunity. So, with hair, that you're going to be using that. So start them off with their own products as you're doing the service.
Definitely. And then we've got the opportunity then to show them how to use those products, because we know they're taking them home as well. So I think it's doing a better job at retailing too. And I'm not saying it's all good news, don't get me wrong, because these things take time. And if you're not paying a receptionist to do your rebookings and things like that, now you might need to look at your appointment times. You might not be able to get everything done in 45 minutes. We might need to make it 50 or whatever. So it's not all upside. But I just don't think that the way that we're doing business at the moment is serving very many people at all. I think the number of salons that are making really stonking good profits is very, very small. And I think there's an opportunity there to just shake things up a little bit and just identify areas in the business where we can use a different way of thinking, and we can use technology, and we can just, like I said, play with things, just change the order of things, change the way that we do business, because so often there isn't actually a good reason for it to be that way anyway.
And it isn't. And the thing is, we could even, if that, there will be ways and means of having, a tablet available for the client where, that could sit, on an arm on your nail desk, or, while you're leaving the client to get changed, that you can leave that open so they can actually rebook and set themselves while they're in the treatment room.
Definitely. And a lot of salons have got those tablets, or in my own salon, Once COVID came along and we had to get rid of all the magazines, that
Yeah.
was how we kept people entertained. Was we took one of those subscriptions out so that people could read magazines on a tablet. So yeah, they could have the booking software on there as well. Or to be honest with you, how many clients now, they're just going to get their phone out as
Well,
soon
yeah,
as,
yeah,
while their colour's taking or while they're waiting, they're going to be on their phones anyway, so they could be doing those
yeah.
things too.
That's it, isn't it? So even just have like, in a hair like scenario, having a sticker on the mirror of like,
Hmm.
do you want to, have you booked your next appointment? Just
Hmm.
it's all those like subtle little bits, isn't it? But my hairdressers that I go to, they I think their receptionist was leaving and they decided not to re-recruit.
Yeah.
And so they've been receptionist free. They've still got the reception desk, that's still there.
Hmm.
But the hairdressers are now all doing all of their own rebooks and doing all of their sales and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I do think I was in that actually yesterday, and my hairdresser but they need to get their buffer times better because they're having too much of an overlap, and it's like, and you can see like the hairdressers are getting a little bit, oh, my next one's there and I've still got to check this one out,
Yeah.
and I think there's but so many of the booking systems, and I know the booking system I can allow whatever buffer time I need in between clients. And
Yeah.
obviously we did that a lot in COVID because we had to have a lot of buffer time in COVID.
Definitely. Yeah.
But we can have that. You have like color time, don't you, and stuff for a lot of the
Yeah.
hair.
Color processing times
Yeah,
and things like
processing
that.
time.
It's
And
all it's all
there's so
doable.
many ways to kind of allow for different functionality in most of the booking apps.
Yeah.
And just sort of, making sure that you've got that area covered so that you have got time and you're not feeling rushed and the client isn't feeling rushed. Because I think that's the difficulty, isn't it? And that's probably one of the benefits of having a receptionist, is that no one feels that there's any rush and there's no panic and the next client's being dealt with because the stylist has taken them off or whatever.
I don't know. I think it's a really hard thing to justify because I think, even if you've got a receptionist, you still only got one.
Yeah.
So you might still have, if your receptionist on the phone, you might have a stylist that's got someone to check out and someone else has just arrived that needs seeing it. It's still not a perfect solution. There's still going to be times when people are waiting and getting irritable and all the rest of it. And I think, and also, we make it, even in the conversation we're having now, we're making so many assumptions around the way that business needs to be. So what if that appointment was paid for before they even turned up?
Yeah.
And then there's no checkout process.
No.
If we've done the rebooking as part of the consultation and they've already paid, what are we waiting for them to do? They can literally just get up and walk out.
Yeah.
So
Indeed. I don't, yeah, because I've got, because I still do provide services, and I've got a client in the morning, and the money's already in my bank.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
definitely. And yeah, I bet your number of no-shows goes down as well.
Do you know what? I never get a no-show ever. And I leave it open to my clients. If they want to pay prior to come in, they can. And it isn't something I enforce because there's only me, and I literally do at maximum half a dozen people a week because I just like to still provide that service and I still enjoy doing it. So
Yeah.
for me, there's only me. I don't need anybody to do reception for me.
No.
But
No.
and I think as well as, like, as soon as we get into that sort of salon scenario, it does feel like, if you're going into salon startup and you're going to be going, like one of my friends, she's just gone into a salon and it's her first time. I've known her for 20 odd years and she's just got her first salon, and she's just got the most beautiful REM reception desk.
Right.
It's very, very lovely. But I suppose it is, isn't it? It's that thing you're saying. It's like, that's our expectation, is that we're going to open a salon. We will need a reception desk. She hasn't got a receptionist, so it's just somewhere for them to use. And I suppose it's just like a focal point, isn't it?
It is, but I kind of think an empty reception desk almost looks kind of sad, really. It's like an unmanned till, isn't it? It's like a closed checkout in Tesco's.
It's all it is. It's a storage solution, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I said, it's a staff magnet as well. So I think if I was inventing from scratch, I certainly wouldn't put a reception desk in. But it does, like I said, it's not all good news. We've got to get our heads around some different tech, and we've got to find a different way of, processing payments and things like that. And it might mean that we need to make some pretty tough decisions along the way too. But all my argument is, and my argument in the article, which is particularly good, I have to say, is
It is amazing.
is to just, try things. Don't make these assumptions about the business,
Yeah.
and experiment. And the one advantage, and I've said this before, the one advantage we've got as a small business is that you can make changes quickly.
Mm.
And trust me, having done consultancy work with software companies and big organizations, they envy us that, because it takes so long to make decisions and it has to go through so many layers of management to get anything approved. Whereas we get to change stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work in 6 months' time, guess what we get to do? We get to do it a different way
Yeah,
again
this
and
is it,
change
isn't
things
it?
up again.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally, I mean, most salons have some kind of room of requirement where everything that you like, all of your display stuff and all of that equipment and paraphernalia that we hold, that we have somewhere that we store it.
Yeah.
So move your reception desk in there and
Hmm.
maybe get a new type of display,
Yeah.
and have that in that space. And because it's just a different opportunity, isn't it? Or go out and buy, you can get lovely iPad stands,
Hmm.
where you can have your iPad there,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can
A lot of the
give them.
software now have they call it kiosk mode, where people
Yeah,
check themselves in when they
yeah,
arrive. I'm not a massive fan of that. There's some of the software now is a little bit smarter in that people can check themselves in on their phones when they arrive, and I'd much
yeah,
rather that personally. But lots of them have got kiosk mode now, so that you can check
yeah.
yourself in. And my other challenge would be, if you're absolutely hell bent on keeping a receptionist, let's see what we can do with that role, because
Mm.
just having someone answering the phone, meeting and greeting, I think, is a luxury that not many
Mm.
salons can afford anymore. So what else could that receptionist be doing
Yeah,
to actually justify their space in the salon? If they're going to stay, they need targets, and there's not many receptionists that are given targets at all. So I would have targets for rebooking, targets for upselling, targets for retail, and what other role can they take on? And if that's
yeah,
not going to be, and I know some receptionists carry out some services, but if not, are they going to be in charge of the marketing? Are they going to be meeting with your suppliers? Are they going to be taking care of performance management for your team? What else are they going to do which actually helps directly
yeah.
contribute to their wage? Because meet and greet's not going to be enough.
And I think as well I mean, to me, there's some days when I just think, do you know what? I would actually love to go and be in that position,
Mm.
because with all of the knowledge and experience I've got, I think it's an opportunity to have a really effective salon manager,
For sure, but I
who
don't
just
think.
happens to do reception as well,
Yeah,
and
but
that's just
I
part
don't
of the job.
think you would be glued to a desk doing that though,
No,
Sue. I
no,
think
indeed not.
given your experience, given your understanding of what clients want, I
Yeah.
think you would be working the room, and you would be
Oh God, yeah.
talking to clients while they're having service and making sure they're
Hmm.
rebooking. And that's what you need. And in the article I call it more of a kind of maitre d' role, where
Yeah,
you're sort of hosting the experience a little
yeah,
bit. That I can get behind, but
yeah.
someone glued to a desk with a phone stuck to their
It
ear,
doesn't work.
no.
And we watched recently. I don't know if you have seen this, the TV series The Bear. We were a little bit behind the show, a little bit behind the program, but we've just watched. I think it was like 6 seasons. We've just watched every season.
Okay.
And have you seen it?
I don't think so. What's it called? The Bear?
The Bear. It's a restaurant. It's about a restaurant
No, no, I
in
haven't.
Chicago, but there's elements of it that so resonate with us as like salon owners, because it's all
Hmm.
about front of house. Everything, they've got their back of house, which is the kitchen, where it's
Yeah.
like can be pandemonium and chaos, probably far more than our back of house is like
Hmm.
that. But that detail, and what happens through the series is the detail that gets brought in for front of house.
Mm.
And they end up, there's like a 3-star Michelin restaurant that they use as like the hired as the example, and they send their team to go and train,
Mm.
where they literally have to polish forks all day,
Yeah.
like polish 400 forks.
Hmm.
Oh no, sorry, start again. I mean, that real like basic apprenticeship stuff of
Yeah.
going through and understanding your craft. But the detailing, and I just sat going that I would, if I could have a salon that looked like that,
Mm.
because the level of detail and the way that the maitre d' works, and the detailing they go to for those clients of like, checking if it's the client's birthday. Are they here
Mm.
for a special occasion? When was the last time they came? Are
Hmm.
they only coming because they've saved up for a whole year to come to us? And how they can make that experience a better experience for those restaurant goers that are, this is their sort of, their 70th birthday. They've never been to even a 1-star Michelin restaurant, let alone a
Mm.
3-star. And
Yeah.
how can you make that experience something that they will cherish until their dying days.
Mm.
And I know that's probably a bit more extreme than we need to do in a salon. We don't need to go necessarily to those lengths. But we should
somewhere in
be
the
giving
middle, there's
people
going
an
to be
experience.
a sweet spot where we can do some of those things at least some of the time. And going back to the retail conversation, you know, I've often thought that we waste so many opportunities by not even looking to see what they've had before.
Yeah.
And so many people struggle with opening a retail conversation because they find it awkward or they find it embarrassing or they don't want to come across as salesy. Actually, if you checked her record, you've got the perfect opener because you can say, actually, you bought that a couple of months
Yeah.
ago. How did you get on with that? Was it too light, too heavy? Do we need something? You know, what did you think of the fragrance? How did your hair feel? How was your skin after
Yeah.
that? You know, you must be running out by now. Is it time for a refill? Do we need to look at something else?
I
In a
am.
much more natural way, and actually in a way that taps into really good customer service
Yeah.
too.
And I
Nobody
know
checks their cards.
I'm meeting with someone next week who may have the answer to that in
Mm-hmm.
the AI way. And I'm really looking forward to that conversation, because I think when you can, I mean, I had on the system I used when I had my salon, we had, you know, anything they bought, we could
Mm-hmm.
see what they bought, and we could, you know, we could see that history of every service they'd ever had, every
Yeah.
product they'd ever bought. And we did use, you know, we did used to try and utilize that. And some systems do that, some systems don't. It just depends whether you've got inventory on your system. But we have the opportunity,
Mm.
even if you did it on pen and paper, whatever, there's going to be somewhere you can note that, whether it's on their file. Every client, you should be looking at their file when they come in anyway, if
Yeah.
they're a regular client, and especially if they're having stuff that does require a lot of home care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you do need to be monitoring that.
Yeah.
And I think that role of like the host and the maitre d'
Mm-hmm.
is that opportunity. And I think to a degree that will be where they earn their money,
It's got to
because
be. It's got to be. And if we're but even if we're getting to the stage where we kind of go, we can't afford that role anymore, or we're not going to replace a receptionist when they go, well, maybe then we've got the opportunity to upgrade our systems and get some software that ticks more of these boxes and does a better job on monitoring
yeah,
inventory and
yeah,
retail and all the rest of it. Because we've got a bit of budget then, because we're saving on a staff wage, so we can actually
yeah.
get some software that helps us.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I suppose, you know, if you're paying somebody, I don't know, I mean, let's go with like £13 an hour, because most receptionists probably wouldn't earn very much more than that. I wouldn't suppose in most salons. But you know, that £13 an hour, over, even if they're part-time and work 30 hours a week, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like £400 a week
Yeah. And
that
even
you could
expensive
reutilize.
salon software is not going to very often hit 150, 200 quid a month.
No. So you
Um,
can make a lot of difference with that saving.
Absolutely. And then suddenly we're ticking a lot more boxes for our customers too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm afraid I'm sounding the death knell for reception. I'm saying that
I
it's
do,
time
I
that
do
we.
think it's sad, because I mean, I used to have like a bit of a compromise, and so a lot of the time it would just be me and my team.
Mm,
But then on evenings and on Saturdays, when there was more of us working and we were busier,
mm,
then I used to try and have someone to cover reception, just so that we could keep the flow working better.
mm,
But so it's sort of, it's quite sad in a way, but I think like it's like, if we can shift it and shift the narrative of what they do and what their job role is, and stop them just being a checkout girl that occasionally says, would you like to buy, you know,
mm-hmm,
shampoo, or would you like to buy a cleanser, and make them actually understand client journey far more. Because, and if they, you know, give in someone who has that, like that host role, because I think that's what it should become,
mm,
is to, you know, for them to take responsibility for client journey, from acquisition of the client through to, you know, the departure of the client on every visit,
mm-hmm.
has got to be the way forward.
Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out over the next few years. I'm going
Yeah,
to go on. I'm going to go on the side of we don't need a receptionist. If
yeah,
we're going to have one, I think absolutely it needs to be that hosting role and someone who's much more invested. But the problem with reception is, even if you've got full-time reception, that's not all day every day, because most salons have a couple of late nights.
mm,
Some salons are open 6 or 7 days a week, so that
yeah,
reception is not going to be there all the time anyway. Plus they have to have a lunch break, plus they're going to have paid holiday. So you've got what I think is a big problem in salons. You've got inconsistency of service anyway,
yeah,
even if
yeah,
you've got reception cover. So actually the decision we made in my salon was, okay, we appreciate there's going to be a slight drop in the level of service that we offer, but it's consistent 7 days a week. and then we can build up from there, and we can find ways to package that so that actually not having a receptionist is a benefit.
Yeah.
So for example, one of the things that we said to my clients was, you'll notice that we don't answer the phone in the salon anymore, but that also means that the phone doesn't ring. So we've got a much more soothing, relaxing environment for you
Yeah.
because you're not hearing phones ringing in the
Right.
background.
Right.
So it's kind of how we package and how we present that and how we turn
Yeah.
that into a proper expectation of service for the
Yeah.
clients.
Definitely.
Myself, yeah, I think the reception is done, but I think if we're getting really down to brass tacks, we need to figure out who they're there for,
Mm.
because I don't think many people are that bothered about that interaction they have with a receptionist
No.
anyway. I mean, myself, I know lots of people go into supermarkets and they hate self checkout and all the rest of it. I would much rather have a self checkout than someone who looks like they don't want to be there, who's having a
Yeah.
conversation with the person on the checkout behind them. And how many times, are our receptionists actually, stood talking to a stylist or a
Yeah.
therapist or a junior rather
Yeah.
than the customer they're supposed to be interacting with
Yeah.
anyway?
Indeed.
I'd rather check my own shopping out. I don't want that interaction anymore.
Yeah.
When I noticed Premier Inn now have got self check-in booths so that
Mm.
you don't have to deal with reception when you're checking in. You can just get on with it.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think I'm alone in that.
No, I do think we have had a massive shift away from human contact, and I think that in some ways, I was somewhere earlier today and I had someone standing behind me, and I could nearly feel them breathing on me.
Mm,
And I think that's like it's a hang up. And I could feel my neck just going like, please just don't breathe on me. And in the end, I had to move because I felt so uncomfortable having that person that, and he
mm,
probably was not very well or something, but I could feel and hear him breathing so heavily behind me,
mm-hmm.
and it made me really uncomfortable. And I do think that's probably just a hang up from the pandemic.
Yeah,
But but
but
we have become far less expecting to have human contact.
and I think there's a way for it to be a win-win as
Yeah.
well. And I think, I know that a lot of the airlines got a lot of stick for online check-in, but
Yeah.
honestly, I hate it when you go on holiday and you get to check in online on the way out.
Yeah.
And then you're in Spain or Greece or wherever, and you can't do that on the way home. So you have to
Yeah.
have that awful queue at the airport for,
Mm.
God knows how long waiting for a desk to open. I mean, that's not a win for a customer.
No,
So
definitely
I
not.
think there's a way to present this as a win-win where everybody gets,
Yeah.
we get to reduce costs, but we also get to deliver a better standard of service. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a compromise on service at all.
No. And I think it can be something that's a very, very yeah, just a positive step forward for the industry, isn't it? To just like reimagine how we do that client journey, because that's what it comes down to, isn't it,
Mm,
ultimately?
for
It's
sure.
just taking a few bits out and replacing it with something that works more effectively for less.
Absolutely.
Yes. Anyway, let's leave it there. And yeah, do you know what your next one's about yet?
My
Have you got any
next one,
teasers?
I think I might have to do something on memberships on the next one. I think it's
Oh,
been a
okay.
while
Yeah,
since we talked memberships, so that
yeah.
might have to be that.
Wonderful. And
I've got a
also,
few. It's just trying to figure out what's gonna
yeah,
sit next.
yeah. I know it'd be good. No, it'd be good to have memberships, because I know I sort of seen a few things floating around and people talking about it a bit. So yeah,
Mm.
probably would not be a bad idea.
Yes, we've got a few more software companies that are starting to build memberships in. Finally, they're starting to listen
About
to
time
you,
they
Uncle
finally
Phil.
listen to you, Phil.
For nearly 10 years, I've been banging that
Yeah,
drum. And
yeah.
yeah, we finally got some software companies launching it literally this month. I've been
Excellent.
doing some consultancy with some
That's,
software companies. There's been a bit of a vibe around that, which is
yeah.
very exciting. So yeah,
Oh,
I look
wonderful.
forward
So then,
to.
because we're going to have a tech feature in the next one, so maybe we can
Mm,
have a little bit of an input on what that's going to mean.
for sure.
Wonderful. Okay, so thanks very much, and I will speak to you next time.
Take care, darling.